and 1. And we are going to be live, am I right? Join us with Merrick McClure. We'll share this puppy out. If anybody's jumping on here, make sure you do a little sharing of our Facebook Live for us. I'm doing a little sharing right here. Boom. All right. Chris Boudry jumping on there. Mike Piper's on there. All right, let's pull this puppy up. Let some folks jump on here. We're gaining some numbers. And everybody jumping on there, make sure you share and invite all your friends to jump on there with us tonight. We had a great bunch of folks on here last week. We want to duplicate that again this week. All right, let's see. Here's the live. Good evening. Hey, everybody, as you're getting on here, comment where you're from. Let us know what part of the country you're watching from and joining us from, whether it's Kentucky, whether it's whatever town you're in. Chris Boudry and Scott Bell are watching with you. Clayton Roundtree's jumping on here. Clayton just got back to traveling down to Gunnersville with us. Me and Clayton actually got to go down to Renegade Marine in the morning and look at a boat. Greg Collard. Greg's from Mount Washington. Scott Bell is from how you say that, Lytle Rock, or is it Little Rock? I think it's supposed to be Little Rock, Arkansas. Hi, Rebecca. Chris Boudry says Princeton, Kentucky. Well, there we go. We're getting some numbers now. As y'all jump on, if you would, invite your friends and ask everybody to join us for After the Bite. Every week on Tuesday nights, 8 p.m. That's my time right now. I like to jump on here and we talk a little bit about the episode that just aired at 7 p.m. on Pursuit Channel. And we're going to let a few more folks get on here. Hi, Sharon Roundtree. I was over here talking about your son just a minute ago. All right, there we go. We're getting some good numbers of folks jumping on. All right, start rolling through this thing. My director's in the background saying, come on, Dad, let's go. But, so anyway, for all of you that watched the episode this week, we were, I just went blank. Well, with Merrick McClure, you know, sometimes the brain doesn't function well. Anyway, we were at Rocky Mountain PFA, which stands for Public Fishing Area, and we were in Georgia. And I was joined by Merrick McClure, and Merrick, what a fun guy, what a great guy. If you saw the episode, just a terrific fisherman. He likes to fish a lot of electric trolling motor and electric motor only tournaments. And that's what we headed to Georgia to talk to him about. Well, we ended up getting a whole lot more from Merrick. This guy's just a great person, and what a joy it was to fish with him and film with him. I think we we fished 3 days down there. Am I correct, Christopher? Wasn't it 3 days? Yeah. Yep. And the lake that we were at was actually, it's a power plant lake. And the Oglethorpe Power, we want to thank them for letting us come down and film at the lake, and the Georgia Wildlife folks as well. They had us down there and got us all our permits for filming and all the things we needed to be able to film there. And just want to thank those two folks for helping us make this episode happen to be able to film with Merrick. Also want to say a big thank you and a shout out to Georgia 811. You know, we've been, I guess, to Georgia for probably 3-4 straight years, and always glad to go down there and help Megan Wade and her team spread that 811 message across the state and across the country. You know, we're always sharing that message out. Merrick McClure works closely with them because he works for the city and he works with Megan and their team down there at Georgia 811 quite often. And you saw Merrick in the show. He had Georgia 811 plastered on his back. And I always like seeing a fellow fisherman, fellow outdoorsman helping share that 811 message of safe digging and safety for folks. And just want to say hats off to you, Merrick, for what you do for Georgia 811, giving them a hand. And once again, thanks Georgia 811 for making this episode possible this week. Again, it was just a great time down there. Let's see where all we've had folks from. Fresno, California. That might be the furthest that we've had anybody on there. And that's Steve Barolo and Diane Castillo. And man, you guys are a long ways away. But I'll actually be headed to the West Coast, let's see, sometime in March to West Palm. And not West Palm, let's see, Palm Springs. I'm going the wrong way. You never know what direction I'm going. But anyway, great to see all you folks from long distances jumping on here to join us. It's always fun getting on here, talking about the episodes, telling a little bit about what happened. If anybody has any questions, pop them up here, make a comment, asking questions. We'll try to answer them. I'm always, looking at the comments, trying to answer all the questions. We don't always get to all of them, but I try to. There's Blaine on here. Blaine, my good old buddy with Rust-Oleum. They got some great products out there. If you haven't never grabbed their Never Wet, you need to try the Never Wet. You can spray this stuff on your clothing and it will repel the water right off. That's a little plug for Blaine right there. He sent me some samples of it a while back, and I put it on my rain suits of some of my older ones that were leaking and what was not repelling water. And I'm going to tell you what, that's the real deal. So Blaine, thanks for getting me those. And I see a lot Blaine at a lot of our different events that we go to for safe digging and all around the country. Greg says it's snowing in central Illinois. Well, I don't want anything to do with that. We've had fairly warm weather and it's been pretty nice here in Kentucky. I want to keep it that way as a landscaper so we can keep getting some work done. So you keep that snow up there. There's Mike Dietrich on there. Always great to see you on here, Mike. You're always a faithful one jumping on with us. Rod Shepard, how are you? It was great seeing you the other day at the, let's see, where did I run into you at? I'm going to go blank here. I was at a show. Anyway, I hadn't seen Rod for a while. It was great seeing you the other day. Steve Hammer, good to see you on here. Kevin Brown, hope you're doing well, my friend. And we got Pete Benanch and Joe Reynolds. 811 is the only way to go. Make sure to check before you dig. All right. So anyway, we're going to be having Merrick McClure join us here in just a few minutes. And Merrick and me going to be talking a little bit about the fishing up at Rocky Mountain PFA. And it was up at the ATA show. Thank you, Rod. I'm traveling so much this time of year that I can't even keep track of where I've been and who I've run into at what place. So Mike Pfeiffer, Mike's a good friend of mine from right here in Kentucky. And anybody any farther away from California, let's see, Fresno, California, that's the furthest person on here tonight. Let us know where you're on here from. Always like to know where people live at. So, but anyway, invite all your friends, share this out. We're always trying to grow the audience. And I guess what we're going to stroll along here too is getting Merrick McClure to join us. And we're going to be talking with Merrick about the episode, about filming, just the fun we had, and a little bit about Rocky Mountain PFA. My wording is not good tonight. You'd think I was drinking something besides water, but I'm drinking water. Got Ryan. All right. So you get me, Merrick, Christopher? Bass seem to be staging up and going onto the beds here in North Carolina. I like that. I'm ready to come. I'm going to come on up there and fish. So, Jason Willis is from Abraham, Alabama. Eric, can you hear me? All right.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
doing
How you
real
doing,
well. How
Mark?
about yourself?
I'm really excited hearing that somebody's talking about bed fishing, and here we are only in February already. I'm
Yeah, we're
pumped.
still a few months away from it, but I know down in Florida they've been on the beds, I'm assuming, and I've seen some pictures of some big fish and from down there, and it's always a good sound to hear people talking about the fish are moving up, and you know what that means? They're gonna start biting.
That's right.
Let's see, I'm reading a few comments here. Brad Moser jumped on Scott Bell water. That's what they all say. Hey, he's trying to claim I'm drinking something besides water, but I promise it's water.
I
That's
watched you
right.
pour
You
it
were
in.
on before the show opened up and seen it.
I'll vouch for you.
Somebody commented, saw an 811 truck this morning on my way to work. Thought of the show right away. Now that's a comment I like to hear, right there. And you know, Merrick, just to kind of jump right in here, one of the fun things for me to talk about, and I'm always, you know, promoting that 811 message. I love seeing you get in the boat with that Georgia 811 written right across your chest. And I just was saying a little while ago, I appreciate what you do for Georgia 811 and the safe digging message. And you actually tell me a little bit about what you do job-wise.
So I've been with the city of Canton. I wore many, many hats since I've been there. Currently, right now, I'm code compliance manager, so I'm really the guy that nobody likes to see pull up on your property. So, of course, our trucks are almost as bright as the neon green in the 811 logos that you see around, especially like your hat, same way. You know it's our trucks when we pull up. So, we actually, and I don't want to get into details, but it goes with work. It goes when we're on the water, spreading the message about safe digging. And, you know, I have come in contact so many times with contractors that have their subs out there. And I really don't even want to give wins and wears or nothing like that because I don't want to single nobody out. But I've had people tell me that they just didn't even know about calling 811. And I'm even talking recently. I didn't even know I needed to call. And, you know, it could be life or death. And I mean, just really sitting down to explain it to people is, do you want to go home to see your family at the end of the day? It could be that simple. One accident of a nick to a utility, it could be the end of your life or others.
Well, I don't even have to promote it with you on here. You're doing a good job of it. So, but you know, once again, I just wanted to compliment you for that Georgia 811 shirt that you wore during the episode, and you supporting the message and understanding how important it is. But so on to the fun subject that we're always on here for, and that's to talk about fishing. So, you know, you kind of we didn't know each other prior to the show. We got in contact with each other, and over I don't know what 6-8 months. Well, I'm just kind of timelining that. Got to know each other over the phone. You heard in the episode me tell that I actually didn't know you. You know, sometimes I know the people we're going, and I got to know you over the phone, and we got down there. And one of the neat things I found out about you was that you fish electric motor and electric trolling motor only tournaments. So I was kind of scratching my head because when I think of fishing, I'm thinking fire up my outboard, run 20 miles over here, 5 miles over there, wherever I got to go to catch these fish. But you kind of got a limitation of reach of where you can run to, and kind of like the kayaks tournaments, which you see that growing, you know, rapidly. It's pretty cool that you have literally electric motors outboard and trolling motor, and that's all you have on the boat, correct? And
that's right.
And so you have all these batteries and different things, and you were telling me we won't answer this question, but this is going to lead us to our trivia question of the night. And we may have told the answer in the show, but now this can be a debatable answer, so we don't want to have any fights tonight over this. But our 811 trivia question of the week is going to be, and you got to guess in the comments, folks, because I'm going to be giving away all these goodies right back here. These direction hats and these Jinko booty shaker swim baits, the Jinko trimmer shad. I'm going to be putting you together a bag full of goodies and send it to you. If you can guess how fast does Merrick McClure's boat go with what size electric motor is that?
It is an EP20, so it's equivalent to a 20 horsepower motor.
20 horsepower motor on this on his boat. How fast do you think this boat can go? So y'all guess, and we're going to be picking. If there's multiple people that get the answer right, we're going to grab one of them, and that's going to be what we're guessing tonight. So we're guessing how fast does Merrick McClure's electric motor push his boat? What speed? And then, so Merrick, how did you fall into fishing electric motor only tournaments?
So I really want to give one person the full credit. Years ago, a lot of the lakes in this region got started for water supply. You know, like you're right now, you're putting another water in there. You got to make sure you got that water demand whenever it's up. So they built all these reservoirs in the state of Georgia for that cause. So I wound up taking and getting to know some people through forums, Georgia Outdoor News Forum, guy by the name of Robbie Hardy. And he actually got me to, substitute some electric only tournaments with one of the oldest clubs in the state, which is High Voltage Bass Anglers. And we fished Hollis Q Latham. That was my first electric only tournament, and I was hooked. I mean, I absolutely, when you're sitting there and you've got 30 boats and you hear the word, all right, blast off, let's go, and everybody's running. Back then, in those days, I mean, it was 4 to 5 mile an hour max.
Speed now.
Well, I'm saying before. So I mean, but now it has progressed. The sport for electric, it is just unreal. I mean, there's boats out there, and I think you and I talked, today on the phone. There's boats out there that are fully planing out, like you was talking about, running between this spot and that spot. The running and gunning is starting to happen in electric only, where before we were just jogging and trotting.
So if any of your friends that has one of these electric motors, the outboard motors, what's kind of like the fastest boat that you've seen, like speed wise? Like it's just estimated. Believe I know we're taking hypothetical, but it's pretty cool.
So I have not witnessed it in person. I have seen there's a new company out that has a pretty fast electric outboard. I mean, all of them's got high horsepower rating outboards. There's about 3 or 4 different companies that are planing boats out. There's one group that I just heard the other day that's getting boats in the 20 mile an hour range. The only key is, and this is the biggest thing when it comes to electric only. You've got gas in your boat, and you're only going go so far with battery power. That's just it. It ain't like for a gas station. You have to conserve it. So the industry's changing. It really, really is, and I'm excited to see the change that's happening.
Well, I was shocked at your enthusiasm for this electric motor only stuff. I mean, when we got talking about it, I mean, folks, if you get Merrick on this subject, he'll just keep on and on and on and on, and he'll tell you all about his boat and how long the batteries last. And I didn't know you could get that excited about electric. Having I love my horsepower in my boat, but I don't get as excited about the outboard as you do.
I promise you, Mark, if you witnessed a blast off and electric only, and it's a different. And here's the thing: I've been out there. I fish big lakes. I don't own a bass boat, but I fish big lakes. I know a lot of our guys that's in our club owns bass boats and fishes, almost professional level. But if you ask them between that or there is a different pace, there is just a camaraderie that it's different. I mean, and the only way I can really compare it to is, how the firemen have their brotherhood, police officers have their brotherhood, and it's almost like that. And I say the same way. Kayakers are the same way now. It's a new rising sport. It's the same way in the electric only side. So we have fun doing it. That's the main purpose. We have fun doing it.
I like that. I like the word shotgun start. I've always remember, and I wasn't around for the shotgun starts, but you see those videos of the old tournaments years and years way back in the early old timers, days of when starting bass fishing. You've seen those shotgun starts, so I can just imagine all the rumbling from those electric motors. As we know, they're real loud, and everybody taking off. That would be fun. But, that's what amazed me, and you've seen at the beginning of the show, I was actually making fun of you and teasing, but your outboard, I mean, I was like, hey, do you hear this coming? And you don't hear nothing. There's no, there's not all that sound and rumbling, and, it's just, it's awesome. And I'm assuming they're probably terrific for the environment, I would imagine, in the water wise, being electric, but I was amazed with that motor. So you and those electric trolling motor and electric motor up tournaments, like I said, you got pretty darn excited about it, telling me about all of it. So,
and it's grown. You remember it 2 or 3 days worth we was talking about it. One of the biggest things that's happened, we used to have it years ago. We started doing a state championship now, and we had it, and it kind of dissolved. Now it's come back. It's called Georgia Bass Tech, and I'm gonna tell you, it just the hype. Everybody gets on there, and we have a great partnership with Decked Out John Boats that does our interviews for our anglers, as well as the video production of the event. It is awesome. We got it coming up May 30th. You can get on there and check it out. Georgia Bass Tech. We'll be going live and everything for our weigh-in. So if people want to see it, they can get on and check it out. We got a lot of great sponsors that's helped us out.
So tell me, are you like doing some coverage of some events, or tell me, I know me and you were talking about some of the things you were involved in the electric motor only tournaments.
So what we do, partnership with Georgia Bass Tech and Decked Out John Boats. Decked Out John does our video production. They do angler interviews we take the top 4 teams. We have 7 clubs that's going to be participating this year in the Georgia Bass Tech. And TEC stands for Total Electric Championship. So what I do from my standpoint, we're all club presidents, we're all directors, we're all taking and make the decisions together. I just sit down and take each points champion from each club, and I have a set questions that I go through and ask, but kind of the same thing like you're doing, have Q&A sessions, have that interaction, and give away some free, awesome sponsorship items that commit to our Facebook Lives. So we call it Hooked Up Lives.
Hooked Up Lives. And then where can folks go to watch you and see these interviews and a little bit about the electric motor only tournaments and stuff?
So our main partnership is through Decked Out John Boats. You can go onto their YouTube channel. It's got all of the video productions from last year's event, which was our first annual Georgia Bass Tech. So this is our second annual. I just started this year the Georgia Bass Tech YouTube channel. We have a website as well, which is GABassTech.webs.com, as well as a Facebook page. You can look us up, GA Bass Tech. We do all the interviews now we do through YouTube. I may be changing up come next year, just testing out some different platforms. But yeah, it is a great sport. We got, I think the biggest thing is great individuals that's here in the state of Georgia that competes.
Well, like I said, that amazed me. Again, how quiet the motor was, how enthused you are about it, and it's neat to see, another segment of fishing growing like that. It's like the kayaks. Well, just to kind of hit some of the folks that have jumped on here, Trey Swindle's on here. Trey, I actually interviewed with him last week. Just got done filming with him last week at Gunnersville in Alabama, and you talking about a ball, and this young man is a terrific fisherman, by the way, Merrick, and what a lot of fun that 19-year-old young man is, and what a personality. A buddy of mine, Justin Jennings, on here. I filmed with Justin. Actually, you'll see Justin on next week's episode, and what a cool episode, and I'll tell more about that at the end of the show. But Justin's on here, Denny Carnes, James Jennings, which I call him Jimmy. Jimmy is always a big part of the direction. He's with One Call Concepts and actually works for One Call Concepts locating service. And Jimmy's one of them guys that understands that 811 message well, and he's always on the episodes with me and just a great friend on top of it. So Jimmy, we want to thank you for joining us. And you need to get up here and get fishing. You need to quit that working stuff. I try to convince Jimmy all the time he don't need to work, but this fishing stuff don't pay real well neither. Might better keep them jobs. But Tammy Thorson on here. Tammy and them, we'll actually see them. Let's see. I've got to see part of the ice fishing episode put together, and Tammy and her husband, Ted, they were with us, and that is going to be a fun episode, by the way. We were ice fishing in Saginaw Bay. That'll be coming up in a few more weeks, but that one's going to be a good one. David Rice said he's a little under the weather. Hope you get feeling better. There's a lot of people been getting the flu and the flu bug all around here. My daughter's school was actually closed and last Friday, and I don't want nothing to do with that flu bug. So, David, don't be sending us that flu bug. We don't want that, buddy, but we hope you get feeling better. Michael Nethery on here. And, Merrick, one thing that didn't make the show, and I'm going to have a little fun with you. You're the only guy I know shows up the boat ramp, the guy that you don't know and hadn't ever met, and you bring me a gas can.
I've already got you back right off the beginning.
I mean,
tried to.
You have to bring up my old days of West Virginia running out of gas, and I just can't live that moment down because it had to make TV, of course. And but Merrick shows up at the ramp and brings me a gas can so that he knows that
it was full of gas.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I got the point, by the way. Once again, that's what fishing's all about right here. It's all the fun, the good times. And, for me, fishing with you, I came to Georgia to, talk about electric motor only tournaments and, all the things we talked about. And, if you watch the episode, folks, I come away with a whole different perspective from Merrick, and just a great person you are. And I just want to tell you, thanks for sharing the great stories that you shared in the boat and your family, and just a lot about yourself. Because for me, like I said, I thought it was going to be fishing and fish catching, which we did do, and we're gonna have to hit on that in a second. But man, you just made those 3 days just very meaningful and very impactful to me. So I just want to tell you thank you for that.
Well, I thank you that we got to share it together and got to know one another, and looking forward to the years ahead to getting back out on the water again. And it's amazing all his blessings that he gives us. It really is. It really is.
Well, I took a lot away from fishing with you. It's always great to, you think about the gift of fishing, that we get to do it, and how blessed we are to be able to do that. And man, to just hop in a boat with somebody that I barely know, and you get sharing great stories, and man, it'll just be a great time that we talk about for the rest of our lives. I mean, we were out there, talking about your daughters and your family,
Yes.
and how just your life, and doing that alongside of catching some of them little green fish, and some of them were pretty nice big green fish.
I wish they could have cooperated a little bit better, but it was right there at the verge of turning loose. It was.
It was, we ended up catching quite a few of them on lipless crankbait, and then the next day, some of the footage we didn't share, we ended up catching them on a crankbait. What was it? It was I think that was a Strike King at 4.0, and and you caught some good ones that we actually weren't filming, and it's kind of like that big one that gets away, or the big buck that you missed, and it happens in filming shows as well. I mean, there's a moment you're trying to capture everything, and sometimes you get it, and sometimes you don't. But it was a lot of fun, and I posted a picture today of you going after that net. I just, them moments right there, man, you're like, oh, don't let that come off. We got to get that on film.
And that spot where I netted that, I could not tell you how many fish over 5 pounds I have lost in that exact cove.
Oh, here we go. The stories of the ones that got away. But we did do some great fish catching. We had a terrific 3 days. We would catch them in little spurts, and then we'd fish all, for hours and hours waiting for a bite, and then all of a sudden, boom. And, I love, throwing those lipless crankbaits, and I believe that time I was throwing a red-eyed shad, and, but one of the baits that I've been throwing, I threw this on Gunnersville last week, was this Rip Knocker by Jinko, and there's just something about throwing them lipless baits and at the right times of year that, man, they're just nothing more fun than hooking up with them on a crankbait or on a lipless crankbait. And
that's right.
So anyway, let's see. So anything you want to add about, talk to me a little bit about Rocky Mountain PFA. What a neat lake that is. It's a power plant lake. Oglethorpe Power, I guess, is the company that, not I guess, but Oglethorpe Power has a power plant there. And Rocky Mountain PFA is a public, it stands for Public Fishing Area. And just tell me a little bit about the lake, the park, everything around there. You know more about the place than I do, but how it fishes and so on.
So I'm sure I'm going to misquote the acreage to it. I believe it's somewhere, Antioch has an east and west. It's divided by a culvert, which is really, really tight fitting the bass boat between, which we learned that, didn't we? I think it's about 300 and something acres, if I remember right, Antioch is. But then they also have a trophy lake. It's only open the first 10 days of each month.
Okay, yeah.
And I've seen some pictures the other day on social media. That lake, I honestly have only been to it once, the trophy lake. And when it's open, you can research it, look through and see pictures of it. It's called Heath Lake. And the pictures you see from just shoulder to shoulder with boats. First time I ever went there, the ramp was slap full out to the road. So we just said, well, let's go to Antioch, and we waited till closer to, the evening hours and everybody left, went back over and tried it. But, Rocky Mountain is a very pristine. It's very quiet. You're off the beaten path. It's not in the metro Atlanta area. It's very peaceful. You're tucked between kind of a valley system there between the mountains. And I'm going to tell you, hats off to the Department of Natural Resources. Excellent. They do a phenomenal job on that fishery. Not only the fishery, but the facilities itself. I mean, they keep you can go out there and, I mean, campgrounds, full hookups, tents, primitives, you name it, they've got it out there. The showers, all of it. It is a really great facility to go to. They got a beach. They also do like under the stars and stuff like that. DNR does for like movie nights, and they do some really great activities over there. And used to, honestly, at Rocky Mountain, they wouldn't allow tournaments. They would not allow fishing tournaments out there. It was in their rules, and I got to know through some of the connections, and I know through the state, it got me through to the manager, and I'm thankful that they wound up changing the rules and allowed us to start hosting tournaments out there. And it is awesome. It really is. I think you even got to meet the new national champion kayaker. He was out there. That's kind of one of his homebody lakes. They go out there
Clint
fishing.
Henderson?
Yep, well, Clint Henderson. He takes in.
I said, well, Clint, I'm working on getting Clint to film with us. So hoping to have him.
Yes.
And of course, he works for Oglethorpe Power.
Yes.
And
but it's amazing what Clint does with the kids. He has that involvement, and you've watched him. And I've never met him. I know that day that y'all went down and did the tour of the plant.
Amazing.
You can go on my YouTube. Yeah, you can go on my YouTube channel, which is my name, and you can see that 7-pounder that I wound up catching while I was down there. I had a tournament coming up, and I just really was that easy and maybe just stumble across something. So, but yeah, I can't wait today, run past with meeting Clint out there and introduce myself one day.
Well, Clint was a great guy. Actually, went up to the power plant up there, got to tour it, met Clint up there, came back down, and that's, like you said, you caught the fish. But man, what a great person Clint is. He, you can see it if you go and follow his social media and stuff. Like you said, he's involved with the kids, a great person, and what a role model for folks getting into kayak competitions.
Yes.
that Clint is. I mean, he is just a first-rate guy. And I'm going to look forward to hopefully putting together fishing with him in this upcoming season that we're getting ready to start filming. So that was the great part about coming down there. Not only did I meet you, but I got to meet Clint and a lot of other great folks. And that's the fun part about traveling to them places. I'm trying to think of the park director's guy's name. What was his name? Dennis, great guy. I mean,
Yep.
Dennis got all of our paperwork, got all our stuff together for us, and hats off to Dennis for getting us taken care of to get us down there to be able to film. Because a lot of the places we travel to, a lot of folks might not realize this, but we actually have to get permits to film, and we have to check to make sure we can fly drones, do all these things to make sure that we're following the law. And
Yes, sir.
so, and a lot of folks really don't realize that. A lot of the Corps Engineer lakes like Dale Hollow, we have to apply for permits and have these permits and everything to be able to go and film there. So, see, Tammy Van Meter jumped on here, Tim Mayo there, but Tammy actually was down with her and her husband and a group of folks down at Dale Hollow just a little while back filming with them. So that'll be a fun one to get to see here in the next
I hope
season.
y'all got in some smallmouths.
It was a little tougher than we wanted it to be, but yeah, that's fishing. You know how that goes. And
That's right.
yeah, so Christopher says, I need to repeat my question. So here's our 811 trivia question of the night. How fast does Merrick McClure's boat go with his 20 horsepower electric motor on the boat? You're going to win this prize package right here. I got a bunch of 811 goodies, line cutters. Hey, watch this. I can even pull a fish out of my weigh-in bag right here. Anyway, I got a whole bag full of little goodies, rod glove, direction hats right here, some trimmer shads, some booty shakers, both these Jinko products, and I'm going to be throwing them in the bag as well. So if you can guess what mile per hour, and we're going to be telling that here in just a minute.
Everybody's guessing way too high.
They're guessing way too high. Well, somebody got it because I saw it earlier, but oh, look here,
But we
Chris.
gave them a range a little bit though.
We've been giving them a little bit of range. Scott Christie, you should film at Paris Landing, March 14th and 15th. What's going on March 14th and 15th? Is the question. Scott Christie, 100 mile per hour. Somebody, I don't know about that comment. So anyway, well, Merrick, I just want to tell you it was a great time filming with you, my friend. I appreciate you witnessing about your faith and sharing that great story of you and your life and your family on the episode. I appreciate you taking me out there fishing with me, just talking about the electric trolling motor only in tournaments and electric motor only tournaments. And so what I want you to do to kind of sum this thing up, one is comment on anything that you want to comment about, and let folks know how fast does your actual boat travel. I believe we might have told it in the episode, but anyway, I'm going to let you kind of sum this thing up, and I'll, once we close out with you, then I'm going to go through a few more things that I always do at the end of the episode. So I guess you can spoil the question and tell everybody how fast your boat goes.
So my boat by myself actually does not go as fast as what it would be with two people. And there's a reason for that, and I didn't get to explain it in the show. It's about boat placement. My boat cannot plane out. Like, most bass boats, they can jump up on plane, and once you hit that plowing, that's as far as you can go. So with two people in my boat, one standing on the front, and with me about midways in the boat and shifting our weight forward as far as we can, I can hit, and I have hit, with fresh batteries, that's the key, fresh batteries, 7 mile an hour.
7 mile an hour. You're charging on.
Yes. But not for long.
But not for long until that battery goes dead. Hey, you ought to carry one of them gas cans with you. You recharge those batteries back up later.
That's the thing about the rules of water supply reservoirs, that they do not allow any type of combustible products. So that's the reason why everybody has went to these electric style trolling motors, outboards, and the industry's changing. I mean, they're getting them now where they're getting on plane and people are spending the money. I mean, I'm talking serious money on these electric outboards and the lithium power packs. That's the key.
Well, that's neat stuff. So, folks, if anybody wants to know any more about that, you can check out all of Merrick McClure's stuff. And once again, Merrick, I want to thank you for, filming with us and joining us on After the Bite. And I'm going to, I guess, kick you off of here now. And I'm going to go down a couple closing things and tell a few more little things before we wrap this thing up here in a few minutes.
Well, Mark, thank y'all. Thank you and your family for coming down, and your crew, spending time with me down there. And also thank George A. that allowed this to happen and let us meet and have some fun out there for 3 days.
It was an awesome time. So I appreciate it, Merrick, and I look forward to talking to you soon.
Sounds great.
So anyway, folks, y'all can see just sitting and talking to Merrick, just a great guy and a great person. One of the, probably, every year there's always 1 or 2 episodes that just stick out, and somebody, for me, the direction I always say, it's, friends, family, great stories, and fishing along the way. And that fishing, brings out great stories like that. Merrick, just sharing about his life and where he's at in his life, and and I just my hat's off to him, and me myself just want to say, thanks to the good Lord every day for allowing us the gift of life, and that we just get the awesome opportunity to be blessed to do the things that we get to in our lives. And Merrick's one of them people that make you appreciate each and every day. And once again, it was a joy filming with him, and you know, took a lot more away than just talking about electric trolling motor only tournaments. Went down there, and man, just what a great time. Fishing was awesome with him. Rocky Mountain PFA, awesome reservoir, awesome place. If you go to Georgia fishing, I can't recommend a better place. It's a nice, quiet, tucked away place. Beautiful scenery around it. Or a little bait shop that you saw in the show there, out there at the entrance. Stop by there, because this is one of those, I think it was a third generation. The guys had this little building there, and they've had the tackle shop and that, and it was just so cool to go in. Pete Benance just put, God is good. Amen to that, brother. It was so cool to go in that bait shop and look through this old book that was in there with all the old pictures and different fish and that had been caught out of there. Just a really cool place. So if you're ever in Georgia, swing by Rocky Mountain PFA and you know, get out on water and do a day's fishing out there. It's well worth it. So just to talk for a second a little bit, you know, I try to always have a little fishing tip. Christopher, by the way, jump for the fishing tip. Pick us a winner and figure out who's going to be our winner this week. So Christopher's going to be in the background. You know, I'm probably going to grab the same rod that I grabbed last week and told a little bit about. You know, for me, I love throwing a lipless crankbait, and I talked about this on after the bite last week, but I'm going to just kind of tell a little bit, you know, of why I use the particular rod that I like. I use this, you know, when you start looking at rods and you know, it can kind of get a little overwhelming sometimes, and all the different actions and all the different types of rods, glass rods, and that. But this particular rod right here is Denali's Covert Light series. It's their Wind Grip series. Love this. This rod is just awesome. And this is a 7/6 medium heavy rod, but it's a cranking rod. So if you look at it when I pull on it, it's got a lot of tip to it. It doesn't have a lot of stiff backbone. When you're throwing those lipless crankbaits, and unlike last week where we were talking about throwing them through grass, and Trey was talking about, you know, pulling them through with a medium heavy stiff rod, but in open water. And so I'm going to talk more about the open water. You know, I like the long rod one because I can throw the bait a longer distance. So that's why I like the 7/6 rod. The reason for a cranking rod is that rod gives. So when that fish grabs this crankbait and them treble hooks, you don't just jerk it and try to jerk it away from them. You're essentially pulling that bait into their mouth. You know, you're just kind of pulling those hooks, and they're tightening up, and you're just putting the pressure on them and ramming them hooks in there so that you get a good hook, you know, that them hooks dig in to that fish. But that's one of the most important things for me in throwing a crankbait, lipless crankbait, or whether it's a square bill like this CD2 or that Strike King 4.0 that Merrick and me were throwing as well. I don't know if we showed them in the show, but I think that 7-pounder he caught that he was talking about is on his YouTube, which he just shared right there. You can go down in the comments and see any Merrick stuff down there in the comments by going to his YouTube there. He's putting his info out there. But this rod enables you to not jerk the crankbait away from those fish. And so, you know, for me, of all of Denali's rods, I got a couple different cranking rods. There's a couple of them in the lithium series I like as well. But my favorite is the Covert Light with the wind grips on them. I love this 7/6 medium heavy rod for throwing most all my lipless crankbaits and any of my kind of half-ounce, what I'm gonna call like half-ounce size crankbaits. They make like a 6/8 rod, which I've got it sitting right here. This is in the, I believe, let's see, this is in the Fission series. But like this 6/8 rod, this is a good little rod as well. It doesn't have a whole lot of backbone. You can see it really bends. But I like to throw that rod with like a smaller crankbait, like a CD7, or, a smaller crankbait like all the 1.0s, 1.5s. But but you can see that rod bows. So one thing I always like to make sure of is when I am throwing a crankbait is I have a rod that has a lot of, that's not overly stiff, that it just kind of bows, and so you don't end up jerking that bait away from them fish. But that's my little simple tip of the week there, and showed you a couple of Denali rods that you can go and check out. And so that, who's our winner going to be this week there, Mr. Stowe?
It was actually one of the first comments. Greg Showpeak.
All right, well, Greg, you're going to be our winner this week, and we're going to be sending you a nice little prize package back here, Direction hats. Brian Labrier, how you doing? See, you just jumped on here, but we're going to be sending y'all this prize package right here, the Direction hats. Bunch of 811 goodies in here and some tackle. We'll be sending that out to you in the next couple days here. Scott put on here, do you like micro or standard guides? You know, for me, I guess you would call them the semi-micros. I kind of like those. I'm not a big lover of the itty-bitty micro guides. I kind of like those semi-micros. For me, the guide thing is, I don't know. I think it's a bit overrated for me, but, you know, everybody has a personal opinion on it, and mine definitely isn't the only opinion or right. So I'm not, you know, I think these right here are what you call semi-micros, or I don't even know the right name for them, but that's on that covert light right there. But it's a great question, and not one that I would lose any sleep over which guides were on there either way for me. But once again, great question. Robbie Woody put on here, he likes standard guides. I agree, the mid-grade micros are better. I kind of like that balance of not small but not big. So, but anyway, I want to thank everybody for jumping on here for After the Bite this week. What I'm going to end this with is next week's episode, folks, is our military appreciation episodes. We're going to be at West Boggs, which is a fish catching mecca. We go up to West Boggs every year. It's non-stop fish catching. We're up there with a group of veterans and military folks who've served, and every year we like to take the time to appreciate those folks who have served and are serving, you know, for our freedoms. And what an episode it was. These guys had some great stories. My friend Wes Thomas, Terry McWilliams, myself got to take these gentlemen out on the water. We shared a day with Justin Berry or Justin Jennings, and let's see, was there 4 guys total, correct, Christopher? Yep, there was 4 of them. And Larry Hostetler, Dale Crafton, I'm gonna go blank, or one more. Justin Jennings, we got one more. But anyway, name-wise, I'm forgetting one, but that's nothing new for me when it comes to remember names. But anyway, we'll be at West Boggs Lake next week. Indiana 811, I always want to thank those folks because they're going to be next week, the folks that make that show happen. And we always get to work with veteran as well, Matt Tapp and Tracy Bryant. You'll see that veteran logo in next week's episode, and those folks are always about sharing that 811 message and letting folks know how important it is to always call 811 before you dig. So folks, I just want to thank you for joining us this week on After the Bite. I'm Mark Stowe, and we're wrapping this thing up.